has to stop. Rocking around the Christmas tree, let the Christmas spirit ring. Later we'll have some pumpkin pie and we'll do some caroling. You will get a sentimental feeling when you hear voices singing, let's be jolly. Deck the halls with boughs of holly, rocking around the Christmas tree, have a happy holiday. Everyone's dancing merrily in the new old-fashioned way. Sentimental feeling when you hear voices singing, let's be jolly. Deck the halls with boughs of holly, rocking around the Christmas tree, have a happy holiday. Everyone's dancing merrily in the new old-fashioned way.
I'll have a blue Christmas without you. I'll be so blue just thinking about you. Decorations of red on a green.
Yeah, I guess we should let the Twitter people pick who should be in the playoffs, I guess. Or maybe we should just let Kirk Herbstreit pick who's in the playoffs.
If you're not here with me, and when those blue snowflakes start falling.
Well, maybe we should let Roger Goodell pick who goes to the playoffs in the NFL, too, while we're at it.
Start calling, you'll be doing all right with your Christmas of white, but I'll have a blue, 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 blue Christmas.
Yeah, Kirk Herbstreit, the cheese has slid off his cracker. He wants to ruin college football. It's a good thing he's not on the committee. Yeah, wins don't matter. Don't look at wins. Jesus Christ.
You'll be doing all right with your Christmas of white, but I'll have a blue, 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 blue Christmas. You'll be doing all
I can't believe he went on TV and said that with a straight face.
Christmas of white, but I'll have a blue, 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 blue Christmas.
He said that we should stop looking at wins. He said we're too caught up in looking at wins. Wins don't matter. If it were up to Kirk Herbstreit, there would be 6 SEC teams and 6 Big Ten teams in the playoffs. That's what he wants. Merry Christmas Eve. Eve? Yeah. Merry Christmas Eve Eve. I think, well, first of all, I think that 12 is too many teams. I don't know why they went from 4 to 12. They should have went to 8 to try that out first. But whatever, we're at 12 now. They're not going backwards. So the minimum from here on out is going to be 12, whether we like it or not. But even with that, there is a way to fix this. It's easy. I still think conference championships have to matter, so the auto bids don't bother me in the least bit. But where you rank them and where you see them, it should be easy. Give auto bids to the Power 4 conference champions, but seed them how you feel like you seed them. You don't have to seed them in the top 4 just because they won their conference. In other words, Clemson this year, for example. You can still seed them at 12 even though they won their conference championship. But you could seed Boise State outside of the top 4 as well. You could even seed a at-large bid in the top 4 if you want. So, pretty easy. Boise State has no reason being in the top 3. I don't know. I think the Texas and Arizona State game might actually be a decent game. I think we're going to see some good games in this next round, and it just so happens it's 8 teams, which is where the playoffs should have been. Anyway, hopefully, whenever they go to the negotiation table to try to restructure this thing after this next year's contract is up, they decide, you know what, maybe we should just keep it at 12 instead of going to 14 or 16. Because that's what they're talking about doing, is expanding it even more. I think they just need to stay at that. Just stay at 12. They're not going to go back to 8, but just keep it where it is. We need to stop adding teams to the playoffs. That's just ridiculous. And really, the only people that want to expand it, as far as fans go, are the teams like South Carolina, Ole Miss, and Alabama, because they were, and Miami, I guess, because they were on the outside looking in. So they feel like if they expanded it to 16, they would have been and had a chance. But go to 64, yeah, isn't that what Mike Leach said? Yeah, Mike Leach said go to 64.
Sing a sleighing song tonight. Oh, jingle bells, jingle bells.
No, Belushi was on last week.
All the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Hey, jingle bells,
all right.
Jingle bells, jingle all the way.
Merry Christmas Eve, everybody. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm great, too. I made it back from Colby's wedding in one piece, barely.
Well, see, there's your positive and everything.
Yeah, Colby's in Europe right now, so I can't yell at him. And he was so busy during the wedding, I really didn't get a chance. I got a chance to congratulate him and give him a hug and everything, but that was about it. I didn't get to yell at him for lying to us.
Oh, what did he lie to you about?
Well, you remember how he promised over and over and over again there was going to be TVs at the wedding so we could watch the Clemson game?
There were no TVs.
Well, that's the thing. There actually was a TV. I wasn't there when this happened. This happened, I guess, about 2 hours before the wedding. You have to understand the setup. So there was like it was on a farm, and they had this big building, like the reception hall, which is where they had the dinner and the reception afterwards.
Right.
And then outside of that, there was this giant patio. And I say giant, I mean like 150 feet long and 50 feet wide patio area outside. And I guess about 2 hours before the wedding, the staff there, they had like a 70-inch TV, and they put it on this dolly, and they were rolling it into the reception area. And Colby's mother-in-law saw them rolling that TV out, and she's like, "What are you doing?" And they're like, "Oh, well, we're supposed to set this TV up." She said, "Absolutely not." So she made him go put it back. So no TV.
Me and her might have had to have a slight disagreement if I was there.
Well, without saying too much, there was no disagreeing with that woman. I'll tell you that right now. She was on one, son.
Well, she's never run across the likes of me either.
Well, she ran across the likes of Raj and Hufferbelly Paw, and apparently that didn't go well either.
Uh-oh.
So right after the wedding, I mean, literally right after the wedding, after they said "I do," and we were leaving the chapel area to go to the reception area, Hufferbilly Paw and Raj, they were both in the wedding, so they had tuxedos on. They still hadn't taken all their pictures yet. They still hadn't done the you know how after the wedding they do the thing where they bring out all the groomsmen and bridesmaids and everything. They introduce them and everybody claps and all that shit. Well,
yeah, I've been a groomsman in a wedding before.
So Hufferbilly Paw and Raj immediately run to their car and take off their tuxedos and put on jeans and, a t-shirt before any of that happens. So about 5 minutes later, they're like, "Okay, all the groomsmen come into the reception hall. We're gonna do our entrance thing." So Raj waltzes over there. He's wearing cowboy boots and jeans, and they look at him and tell him to get out. And Hufferbilly Paul he left. He didn't even come back in there. As soon as they said "I do," he left.
Does anybody know where he is? Did he make it home okay?
Yeah, I think he's home all right. Yeah. So anyway, apparently it was a whole deal with the mother-in-law. Like they had some words and everything. She didn't like Colby's friends. Let's put it that way.
Colby, you may need to. I'm just saying, marriage not starting off on the good foot. May have to do something with the mother-in-law.
Also, it was freezing. I mean, I thought the wedding itself, the ceremony was really nice. I mean, it was cold because it was in this. It wasn't inside. It was like this outdoor chapel, basically like a giant gazebo with pews in it. So it was outdoors. It just had a roof over it. But I mean, the ceremony itself was very well done and nice and everything. And it wasn't long. It was maybe 20 minutes long. So it wasn't like they kept us out in the cold forever. But as soon as the wedding itself was over, we're like, okay, great. We get to go inside in the heat in the reception hall. No, they go, okay, everyone just go wait out on that giant patio area until we tell you it's time to go into the reception hall. Well, we were out there for 2 hours.
Oh, good Lord.
Yeah. And it was like 30 degrees outside.
Well, and I know a lot of people don't like it, myself included, and I get it. But that's why people do spring and fall weddings, because the weather's a little more tolerable. Yeah.
I mean, they did have space heaters out there. I mean, there wasn't really enough space heaters for the amount. There was like 200 and something people there. And there was also an outdoor fireplace where we basically, all of Colby's friends, all of us degenerates, kind of huddled around the outdoor fireplace and watched Clemson and Texas on our phones for 2 hours. So, Mrs. Peete says she sent me some pictures. Well, you should have sent me the pictures to upload before the show, not during the show. I'm not going to sit here and do all that during the show.
Is she the graphics guy and we didn't know it for the ACC show?
Yeah, I think so. But anyway, congratulations to Colby. And of course, me and Mrs. Peete went and stayed with Uncle Lou and Battle Angel. We went up there the night before, hung out at their house, watched some football, watched the Notre Dame and Indiana game. And then after the wedding, went back to his house and watched the Tennessee and Ohio State game, which was a complete disaster, by the way.
Yeah, that's something else that has absolutely been hilarious since that game. Lane Kiffin has been nowhere to be found, and everybody is looking for him.
Yeah, he was on there tweeting all through the Indiana game, through the Clemson game, all the other games. As soon as Tennessee lost, he went AWOL on us. Shocker.
Yeah, Kirk Herbstreit hasn't had a lot to say after he commentated that Tennessee game as well. Shocker there.
Well, all he's had to say is the dumbest shit you can say is that wins don't matter in college football anymore. He wants to completely ruin the sport.
Oh, good God. I can't believe he said that with a straight face.
I guess you know what we should do? It should just be, fuck the committee. We'll just go ask Kirk Herbstreit who should be in the playoffs every year. Let him pick the teams.
Well, and somebody else finally, I can't remember who it was, but somebody else finally said the quiet part out loud that I've been saying for a long time, and a lot of us on here have thought it. Why are we listening to Paul Feinbaum's football takes?
Yeah, I mean, he's Paul Feinbaum's an entertainer. I mean, which I don't think he's very entertaining, but whatever. People think his show is entertaining. That's fine. I mean, he's successful. But yeah,
I mean, the people that call into his show are entertaining.
Right, but that's his thing. That's fine. That's great. But yeah, but why is anybody listening? He's not a football analyst.
No.
I mean, he's an SEC. He works for the SEC network. His literal job is to prop up the SEC, and that's fine. But if we're up to Paul Feinbaum, there would be 10 SEC teams in, and maybe Ohio State and whoever else.
Yeah, well, and part of it may be because he lost one of his jobs, because don't forget, he spent the better part of the last 20 years as Nick Saban's toilet paper, and he doesn't really have that job anymore.
Yeah. Well, I mean, people were worried about the 12-team playoff ruining the regular season, and I don't think that it necessarily, I don't think it did. But if you start saying that wins and losses don't matter anymore, that would ruin the regular season completely. Because then what you're doing is you're punishing. I'll just take Clemson for an example, or Miami, right? The two top teams in the ACC this year, in my opinion, were Clemson and Miami. You're punishing Clemson and Miami for Florida State and North Carolina State and Virginia Tech not being any good, but like everyone thought they were going to be. You know,
but you're not punishing, say, Georgia or Texas for Arkansas, Kentucky, Mississippi State not being good.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, make it make sense.
And there, the argument about Indiana got blown out. Okay, well, fine. But of course Indiana belonged in the playoffs. I mean, they were 11-1. Meanwhile, Ole Miss, lost to Kentucky. How many? Kentucky was a 4-win team.
Yes, they were.
So did Indiana lose to a 4-win team, Slim?
No, they didn't.
No, they didn't. Did Indiana?
And here's my thing. Like, you can make an argument if Indiana squeak by in all their games. But they didn't. They did exactly what all of us on here say that you can do with a bad football team. You beat shit out of them, and that's what Indiana did.
Yeah, and here's where I think that they just need to fix the seeding. I think the auto bids for the conference championships, because if you start saying that conference championships don't matter, then you're on the way to ruining the sport the way that we know it.
They've already done that. They did that with a 4-team playoff, putting teams in that lost their conference championship multiple times.
Yeah.
like this isn't me picking on Georgia, but Georgia got in losing the SEC championship. TCU got in losing the Big 12 championship. And then Notre Dame got in losing the ACC title game in 2020.
Yeah, and this. I know everyone's like, the SEC and the Big Ten are clearly the best two conferences. Maybe that's true. That's fine. But that hasn't. How are we supposed to know who's better between these conferences without them playing each other? If you just have a bunch of SEC teams playing each other in the playoffs, that's basically an extension of the regular. It's just a regular season over again.
It is. And by the way, during the regular season, the Big Ten had a losing record again 3 years in a row to the ACC.
Yeah. But we want to see cross-conference playoff games. We don't want to see all these teams that played each other in the regular season in conference play each other again. And we might get to see, there's a chance, I guess, I forget how the bracket works out, we might get to see Texas and Georgia play again, right?
We might. There's definitely a possibility of it. I don't think it's going to happen.
But hypothetically, it could, and that'd be the third time they played this season.
That would be. Well, and we knew that coming into the year because people were talking about the possibility of, Georgia, Alabama playing each other 3 times, Oregon, Ohio State playing each other 3 times.
Yeah.
So we knew that coming into it.
Yeah. Now, I guess if they make it to the finals, they could play again, Georgia and Texas. But I don't think Texas is going to make it to the finals.
I don't think either one is, personally.
Yeah.
Call this a hot take if you want, but I actually think Notre Dame is going to curb stomp Georgia.
I don't know about curb stomp. They are favored. I think Notre Dame's a very good team. Yeah, plus,
I don't think Georgia is.
Georgia isn't. They got Gunnar Stockton in there too, so I don't know.
Well, even beyond that, look at Georgia Clemson week 1, and then look at both of them conference championship week. Clemson's clearly gotten better as the season's gone on, and Georgia's clearly gotten worse.
Yeah, Clemson kept it, made it a game there, even without a running back. They had wide receiver playing running back, Slim. Adam Randall. They rushed for like 60 yards or something. But everybody knew Maffa was hurt coming into that game. They announced he has to have off-season surgery on his shoulder. Yeah, he's got a torn labrum in his shoulder. That was my concern going into the game, so I wasn't surprised about that at all. But even despite that, they got it within one score, late in the fourth quarter, and then of course they gave up that 80-yard run or whatever, and that pretty much ended the game. Well, even after that, they got down on the 1 yard line and just couldn't punch it in. So Clemson had their opportunities to win that game, they just blew it.
Well, and two, if you say SMU didn't belong in there, you didn't watch the game. SMU's team played well. Their quarterback didn't. Yeah,
he threw 4 interceptions in the first half or something, didn't he?
Yeah. It wasn't pretty.
Yeah, defensively, SMU played pretty well.
Yeah, they just, because of the quarterback, they couldn't get anything going offensively. So, like I said, that's one of those games. It's a shame it turned out the way it did. It wasn't interesting, but you can't watch that game and tell me SMU shouldn't have been there.
Yeah, Paul says that Adam Randall looked promising at running back. So, Dabo said after the game they're going to move him to running back. I guess he's just not a very good receiver. Dabo said he's best running the ball. He's just not good at catching it, I guess. But and that's fine. Maybe he's going to be a decent running back. Maybe that'll add some depth to the running back, so we don't have a situation like we had this year. But here's the problem. His first time ever playing running back is in a playoff game. I don't think that's the time to be experimenting with him at running back.
Well, I get that line of thinking, but also in a playoff game, you got to lay it all out there.
Yeah, but we got guys that are on scholarship at running back. Why are we,
I agree with you there.
Now,
why haven't you played a lot of them through the rest of the season? Yeah,
and Adams did play the majority of the game, and he did okay. But before that game, he had a grand total of maybe 7 snaps all season. So it's not like, I don't know.
Well, and that's on Dabo himself too. And I say this, about any team, like any opportunity you have to get backups in, you need to, because you never know when you're going to have to put them into action.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see what they do at running back. We got guys, Adams. We'll see what he does, if he leaves or not. We got a really good running back coming in. He'll be a freshman though, Gideon Davidson. He's one of the top running back prospects in the country. But again, he's going to be a true freshman. So
we may have Damian Martinez back next year.
Yeah,
there's a possibility he's going to come back one more year.
But the people bitching about the blowouts, I just don't get it. They could have seeded them better if they didn't have the current format with the highest ranked conference champion automatically gets in the top 4, and just seeded them the way they should have been seeded. We probably would have seen some more compelling matchups, like SMU versus Indiana would have been a good matchup. It would have been a better game.
Yeah, they could do the well. And here's my thing with the blowouts. Every semifinal game in a 14 playoff, but 2 was a blowout. And I've said this since they said they were going to 12. What makes people think this is going to be any different?
Well, it's not. It's never going to be. That's the way it's always going to be. I mean, that's like say, Clemson is responsible for blowing out 3 teams in the playoff era. They blew out Notre Dame 31-3 one year. They blew out Ohio State 31-0 one year, and they blew out Alabama 44-16, an undefeated Alabama, by the way, going into that game. So, are we going to say that Notre Dame, Ohio State, and Alabama didn't belong in the playoffs because they got blew out? No.
I mean, by these people's logic, yes.
Yeah, it just doesn't make any sense.
But you notice we only do this, like this only gets said with college. Like nobody said because Tampa Bay blew out the Chiefs that the Chiefs didn't belong in the playoffs. We only do this with college for whatever reason.
Yeah, college is the only sport where we do this. I mean, you kind of have to because there's 130 teams, but I mean, you can't do it. You can't make it like the NFL system. There's just too many teams.
Oh, I get that.
But people sitting around and just saying, well, we think this 4-loss team is better than this 1-loss team, so they should get in ahead of them. I mean, who's deciding who's the better team without watching them play each other? It's impossible.
Well, and to your point earlier, no, I actually don't think we need to expand the playoffs. And I would take it even a step further than you. I thought the better number was 6 instead of 8.
6 or 8. I think 8 would be the max. But now that they went to 12, they're not putting the toothpaste back in the tube. There's no way they're going backwards.
Yeah, no, they're not.
But I really hope that cooler heads prevail and they sit down and say, look, we've seen the 12-team experiment. We know we're not going to go back to 8 or 6 or whatever. But let's pump the brakes on expanding it even more. Let's just leave it where it is. I think they just need to leave it where it is.
Yeah, I think so.
I'm not convinced they will, though, because we all know what this is about. It's about money. It's not. They don't care about the compelling matchups, because despite all those blowouts this week, I bet the ratings were through the roof. So a lot of people made a lot of money this weekend.
Oh, absolutely. And that is what it's all about, is money, and it's going to keep expanding from here because they want to make more money.
Yeah. Yeah, expansion's already in the works. Yeah, I think they're going to go to at least 14, unfortunately.
Well, that's already set. In 2 years, it's going to 4, or after we have one more season of the 12, and then it's going to 14. But rumors are now they're talking about even just skipping the 14, going straight to 16.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
and then the rumor with that is that the Big Ten and the SEC are lobbying to have 4 guaranteed spots each every year.
God. Well, I haven't even looked at the lines. Let's see if they're up yet.
Well, and here's really my biggest problem with that. Like and I'm with you. I've never said the SEC wasn't the best conference. The main thing I've maintained is there's not this huge cavernous gap between the conferences like people try and make out to be. And to top it off, this run the SEC's been on really only started with Urban Meyer. So you're talking 2006, 2008, right in there. Like, you go back through the 80s and 90s, the SEC was nowhere near the most dominant conference.
No, I mean, these things are cyclical. And now with the with the $20 million thing where everybody can pay players and all that, that'll level the playing field a little bit more, I think, from conference to conference. So Notre Dame is a 1.5 point favorite. No, Georgia's a 1.5 point favorite. I thought Notre Dame was favored in that game. That line must have moved already.
It did.
So Georgia is now favored by 1.5 points. Oh, let's look at the other ones here. What is this? Oh, they've got hypotheticals. Where are the other playoff games? What am I missing here?
Oh, that was something else funny I noticed on Twitter Saturday. Is somebody pointed out that the SEC is still undefeated, like 137-0 in a hypothetical matchup.
Penn State's an 11-point favorite over Boise State. Texas, a 14-point favorite over Arizona State. Ohio State, 2.5 favorite over Oregon. Oh. There you go. Oh, no. I think that's too many points for Arizona State to be down. Plus 14.
Yeah, I agree. I do kind of agree with you about the seeding, too, at least a little bit. Like, I don't think there's not a scenario where I agree with a group of 5 team having a bye.
Yeah, they shouldn't have a bye.
I mean, because you want to talk about strength of schedule. Like, I'm not trying to shit on Boise, but the Mountain West is half of what the Big 12 is on its best day.
See, I don't have a problem with it. Let's say, like, so didn't Boise play? Did they play 1 or 2 Power 5? I know they played Oregon.
They played 1. That was it, and they lost.
All right. So let's say they had beat Oregon and they went 12-0 or 13-0, won their conference. I guess maybe if you feel like they're one of the best 4 teams, you can put them in the top 4 in that situation. But outside of that, I mean, because Oregon's the number 1 team in the country, that would be a huge win for them.
Well, they weren't then.
They weren't then. That's right. But they finished number 1.
Yeah, they finished number 1.
So,
well, here's my problem with that, too. Like, they're completely throwing strength of schedule out the window, which I hear over and over and over, strength of schedule. But there's absolutely no consideration for strength of schedule whatsoever when it comes to the group of 5 team. Army should have been ranked long before Boise.
Rich Chat, I've never met an ACC fanboy in my life, so I don't even know what you're talking about. The ACC doesn't run around waving the conference flag the same way that the SEC does. That's reserved. That's reserved for the South Carolinas of the world who never win anything. So they just, we were SEC. The only ones that do that are the mid to low level SEC teams who can't win anything.
This is a fact.
But I've never met an ACC fanboy in my life. Not one. The only ACC, that, like what we do, is in response to the SEC flag waving. There's no... I don't know of any ACC conference homers out there. Most people in the ACC only care about their team. unlike the SEC fans. And I guess to a lesser extent, some of the Big Ten fans do the same thing, but really the SEC. I've never met Sea-Dog. Sea-Dog, I don't think Sea-Dog's an ACC homer either. I just think he's a Georgia Tech homer.
Yeah, that motherfucker's not going to cheer for Miami to win a game ever.
Yeah, I mean, shit, Sea-Dog loves Alabama. That's like his second favorite team.
Exactly.
Because they beat Georgia all the time. That's all he cares about. He likes Alabama more than he likes Miami. By a lot.
This is a fact. That's a big fact.
Yeah, the SEC fanboys would like to see the SEC just have their own playoffs and ruin the sport even more.
And you know what? Fuck them. Let them do it.
Yeah.
Go have your own fucking playoff. Be gone. The rest of us would have to deal with a lot less bullshit in our college football lives.
See, I don't want that.
I don't either, but at the same time, you know what? Sometimes I'm very much in favor of giving people what they want and watching them come crawl back on their hands and knees.
Because without that, I mean, we never would have seen Clemson beat Alabama for national titles 2 times in the playoff era.
I agree.
You know, because everyone just assumed that Alabama would be better than Clemson. So we never.
I take the same stance with that, but I do with the state of California. Fuck it, fine, but be careful what you wish for.
Yeah, I don't think any real college football fans would want to see the SEC have their own thing. It would totally ruin everything.
Which, by the way, and shout out to them, like there's some Tennessee fans I'm friends with on Twitter, and they were all rooting for Texas to get their dicks knocked in the dirt. They don't give a shit about some other SEC team.
Hello, gentlemen.
Hey.
Are you, in fact, an ACC fanboy, sir?
Me? No.
Yeah.
I'm with Sea-Dog. Like, I love that Miami lost 2 games and was out of the playoffs. If I was an ACC homer,
but see, I thought me and you were cool. You can't like give me a little cred because we're friends. I still got to catch strays.
I don't care how good of friends I am with someone. Like I like this guy Russ from Tar Heel Huddle, but fuck North Carolina. Hope it works for them. Like, it is what it is, you know.
And listen, I mean, like, I'm not even that mad that we're not in. I mean, sure, I was at first, but I mean, you've known me long enough to know, Pete. I tend to look at big picture. Big picture, I'm never going to cry over a 10-win season. That's never a thing I'm going to do.
Yeah, I mean, plus you had your opportunity to get in, you know?
Yeah, like SEC fans act like the games they lose don't count all the time. And I don't, like, wasn't Lane tweeting about, did this team really deserve to be in? Like, I didn't see him do that with Tennessee. Sorry, Squid.
Well, he didn't.
Miami didn't even have to win the ACC to get in this year. All they had to do was make it to the game.
Right.
That's where they fucked up.
Syracuse.
Because if they would have made it to the ACC championship and lost, even if they lost to SMU, they still would have got in probably at the 12th seed like Clemson did.
Well, and here's the thing. If you take one of those losses away and make it, say, Virginia Tech, Miami's probably in. Because that's just a fact of college football that we all know. A loss later in the season hurts you more than a loss early in the season. That's just always been the way.
Yeah, always will be.
Yeah. So, I mean, it kind of is what it is. I'm not going to fucking cry over a 10-win season. And I put this out on Twitter the other day, for all the crying ass Miami fans. We're probably going to smack the shit out of Iowa State because Cam Ward and most everybody has opted into the game.
Which is respectable, by the way,
yeah,
in today's college football.
We haven't won a bowl game since 2016. We haven't won 11 games since 2002. Like, there's still goals to hit for this season.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's why you're not crying over a 10-win season. But I promise you, if you go 10-2 5 years in a row, you'll be crying about that fifth 10-win season. At least you should.
Well, yeah, and you could be right at that point, very much so.
I mean, not like fire the coach, but like, okay, enough is
What's
enough.
going on?
We got to win
Yeah.
one at some point here. I mean, you know,
Well, kind of like how y'all were with Mark Richt.
Exactly. Yeah, we were happy as shit the first 10 years he was there, but you become a victim as a coach. You become a victim of your own success eventually. You know, what was good yesterday ain't good today. You know,
Right.
so.
Yeah, but you're
Hey,
usually
how about
paid
this?
for the expectation that you receive. Like, you know, Mark wasn't underpaid when the expectation was to win national titles, right?
Yeah, what was Georgia Tech's record? 8-4.
Yeah, I don't understand why you come out this way every time. Like,
No, I'm not. No. I'm making a point
oh, okay.
about expectations. So if Georgia Tech would have won 8-4 in 1991, that would have been terrible.
Yeah,
You know,
Yeah.
we're all happy now. Yeah,
right?
for
That's
sure.
what I'm saying. Like, and it's the same thing with the 10-win seasons. Like when Rick got there, we were happy as shit to go 9-3 or 10-2. But then he did it 15 years in a row and nothing else. And we're like, okay, there's got to be more here somewhere.
No, 100%. Like, he just got a raise, and if he won 6 games next year, we'd all be pissed.
Right.
Yeah, I had some guy.
I'm behind. Like, he absolutely, in my opinion, deserved, and I think y'all needed to keep him from going anywhere.
It was embarrassing, like, cards on the table to pay your coach less than $4 million a year. Like, that's bullshit. Like,
Yeah, that's
Tech should be
insane.
embarrassed that they did that.
Yeah, we were in that same boat just a few years ago when Mark Richt got hired at Miami. They paid him $4 million a year. That was the highest paid coach in Miami history to that point.
Gee.
When was that? 2016?
2016.
Jeez.
Look
Oh,
at
yeah,
Florida.
Miami's
They're building a
notoriously
statue
cheap.
for going 7-5. Imagine Florida going 7-5 10 years ago and running around the internet bragging about it. I mean, what we doing?
How the mighty have fallen.
Yeah, it's weird. Good.
Couldn't happen to a better group of people, though.
Well, shout out to Tennessee. I know you lost, but you kind of won in a way because you shut the Alabama fans up. Because they've been, you know, of course, they think they belong to the playoffs this year. And then Tennessee gets blown out. Well, Alabama lost to Tennessee.
Everybody got
Which I made a point of pointing out on Twitter, by the way.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, oh, this just makes it to where home field advantage is just too powerful. I'm like, no, it's not home field advantage. It's that the teams that are 5 through 8 are just that much better than the teams from 9 through 12. And that was one of the worst ass beatings I ever seen in my life.
Well, home field
Whatever.
advantage is a big deal. Let's not downplay home field advantage. That's important in week 1, and it's important in the playoff. Home field advantage is a huge deal in college football. Look at Tennessee's record on the road versus at home, dude.
Well, I completely agree with that, but he also has a point. Like, Ohio State has the highest, a 90% blue chip ratio on their roster. Tennessee's not even at 50%.
Yeah, we were just outclassed in every facet of the game. It is over from the word go. And it was basically a macrocosm of everything that we've been dealing with this entire season, because it's not like we won 10 games by blowing out most of our SEC opponents. We struggled every time. Struggled. Offense wouldn't get going until the second half. We had multiple games we were getting shut out. That game was basically a macrocosm of the entirety of Tennessee football this season, because it took us yet again a whole entire half to get started, and then we come out in the second half and crap ourselves too. Everything just went to shit, and the fact that nobody's been fired yet is extremely concerning. I'm not saying Heupel should be fired. That's obviously stupid, but our offensive coordinator has laid out the worst pile of doo-doo for the entire season, and he should have been fired last year, and yet Heupel had him around because he's his best friend and all that, and I get that, but like it's getting ridiculous now. 20 points a game ain't going to do it in the SEC. And now that we got to travel to Florida and Bama next year, if nothing changes, then I'm expecting more of the same and probably a much worse year next year.
Well, you can get away with it if you have like Georgia's defense from 21 where they're only giving up 10.
Well, Pierce is leaving for the draft. Big Amari Thomas probably leaving for the draft. We're getting back Dramon McCoy, which is nice, but I don't see this defense being better or even on the same level as it was this year.
Well, when are we going to start telling the truth about Nico and stop pretending on that? I mean, he's a liability.
He certainly wasn't. He was the only. Well, in the Ohio State game, he was the only guy that actually showed up. Now he
completed 40% of his passes. Stop.
Half of them were dropped. Half of them were dropped.
No, Georgia leads the country in drop passes. We've got a 65% completion rate. Stop it. Just stop. The guy is not very good.
He's certainly overpaid.
We were listening to the Talking Vols post-game live stream after the Tennessee game, and there was people all in the chat talking about, oh, Nico played great. You remember that, Lou?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, what game did they watch?
And then I don't know, who's the host of that show? What's his name?
Boogie Bentley.
Boogie Bentley's like, you know what? We need to open up the checkbook and spend more money. What? You paid $8 million for that guy already. We can give him 12 now?
And that's part of the problem here. We implemented a 10% talent fee starting next season. And my question to that is, where the hell's the talent? What talent? Are we using that talent to lose to teams like Arkansas? Where's the talent at?
You know what's weird, too, is because of the playoff expansion, there's a lot of Tennessee fans who think, like, this is the best year they've had in 26 years. Where Tennessee was better 2 years ago. They just wasn't a 12-team play. Tennessee was 6th or 7th 2 years ago. They're 9th this year.
Yeah, they were better.
Not even as good this year as they were a couple of years ago.
Certainly not.
You know, I was having a conversation with somebody on Twitter about that fact. Like, and this is, I don't know if this is proof of parity across college football, if this is proof of a down year or what, but like even SEC teams, is Georgia better than they were in 22? No. Tennessee's obviously not. Alabama's obviously not.
Well, there's not a real dominant team this year.
Well, Texas is better than they were in 22. Notre Dame is. Ohio State is. Oregon is.
Clemson is, too.
Clemson is. There's a lot of things that are better. Why don't we just go to a 16-team playoff, have each conference send 4 teams, and it's up to each conference to decide which 4 teams they send. That way, if anybody wants to be mad at anybody for their team not getting in, they can only be mad at their conference commissioner.
You know what? That's not a terrible idea.
I'm about to say, I don't think that's a terrible idea.
That also forces Notre Dame to join a conference.
What's that mean for the group of 5, though? They
start their own playoff. What they should have done a long time ago. They start their own playoff. They're not invited. It's 4. That saves the 4 conferences. Those 4 conferences, the 4 we have now, they can add as many teams as they want, but they can only send 4 teams a year to the playoff, and it's up to each conference to decide which 4 they send. So if they want to like hold a mini, whatever they want to do, hold a conference championship game and whatever, and then have a committee that just seeds the 16 teams, 4 from each conference.
Does that mean Ole Miss would join the ACC? Because then
I wish they would do it now. Bama, Ole Miss, and South Carolina can get the fuck out now. Let them go join the Big Ten. Then they can pat themselves on the back for beating Northwestern and losing on the road at Penn State and losing to Nebraska every 3 years and say how easy their schedule is while they're still not getting in the playoffs.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
Well, here's a great idea. Don't lose to a 4-8 Kentucky team.
Exactly. Yeah. Don't lose to the worst Oklahoma team in 25 years.
Yeah.
Exactly.
If you're South Carolina, don't lose 3 of your first 6 games. I mean, give me a break. Don't lose 25% of your regular season games. So I mean, I'm an SEC homer. Oh, I do take exception with, I forget which one of y'all said it, that the only people that wave the SEC flag are fans of mid-tier SEC teams. I demand you take that back immediately.
Well, I said that. For the most part, that's true.
Georgia's not mid-tier. And oh, well, maybe they are. Slim, you described Georgia a minute ago as not very good.
I mean, dude, tell me, look at that SEC
teams.
championship game.
I'm going to need a list of teams that are very good if Georgia's not.
Ohio State looks very good right now. Oregon looks very good right now.
The last time we saw Oregon, they let Penn State score 40 on them, didn't they?
Almost, yeah.
You also said you were talking about the Georgia-Texas game and the Clemson-Texas game and Clemson and Georgia getting worse as the season went along. Didn't Georgia beat Texas a week before Clemson lost to them?
Oh, yes, and that was actually kind of my point, is that SEC title game, that didn't look like even two competent football teams. That looked like a bunch of retards trying to fuck a doorknob in the dark.
And Clemson lost to one of them.
And
the other one is ranked second in the country.
I mean, that doesn't mean Georgia can't come out and look better in their next game. I'm just not predicting them to.
Well, we'll see. With Beck out for the season, we'll get to see what Gunnar Stockton can do.
Is Notre Dame very good?
I think they are, yeah. They've been on a hot streak since their one loss.
Notre Dame might be the best team in the country. We'll see.
I'm interested to know what you think about them, Georgia being a 1-point favorite over Notre Dame. Do you agree with that?
Me?
Yeah.
I think it should be 1 or 2 points either way.
Well, it opened up. Notre Dame was the favorite. It's moved.
Well, and my reasoning for thinking that Notre Dame is going to win that game is Riley Leonard is the exact kind of quarterback that's given Kirby trouble, even going back to when he was DC at Bama.
Yeah.
And their defense is nasty, too.
Yeah, I think
that is a nasty defense.
Yeah, I think Georgia could lose to Notre Dame. I agree with you that Notre Dame is very good. I disagree with you that Georgia is not very good, or whatever you said. I disagree with that. I think Georgia is very good.
Well, everybody's not very good.
Yeah, nobody's.
Well, I mean, okay, but my general overall point is through the course of the season, I don't think Georgia has become a better football team.
Riz Chat says Clemson got embarrassed. Did Clemson really get embarrassed by Texas? I don't know if you watched the game or not.
7-point game in the fourth quarter. What are you talking about?
Yeah, they put up the best fight by far.
Yeah.
Which is really saying a lot.
They had their opportunity to win that game. They blew it. I mean, it was the most entertaining playoff game out of all of them by a long shot.
Well, and here's something when it comes to Indiana and SMU too that I don't think people look at. Fun fact about Indiana to preface this: they have more losses than any team in Division I football in program history. Like, this is a perennial loser that is in the spotlight. I think the stage and the lights were too bright for them, especially for their first time.
Thank you, Hufferbelly, for the PayPal. He says, Lou for commissioner.
Well, I also think Notre Dame is a lot better than Indiana, too.
That too, yes.
Yeah, it turns out Notre Dame's a good team. Who would have thunk?
Yeah,
Do you think Indiana should not have been in?
All four? No. I think they should. That's my. But see, that's my point. They should have been in. But so all four teams that won were higher ranked, higher seeded, and at home.
Yeah.
So them winning is not proof that the other team didn't belong.
No, I'm not saying that. I didn't know if that's what Slim.
No.
Well, I want y'all's opinion on Kirk Herbstreit's comments that wins shouldn't matter.
I'm unaware of this. What
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I didn't hear him say that, but I think that's a ridiculous.
Yeah, he
statement.
said we need to stop looking at wins and just pick the best teams.
Yeah, but see, that's the problem. There's no such thing as the best teams.
I know.
But what does that even mean?
I don't know.
Best
Ask
teams
Kirk.
According to who?
According to him, I guess.
Well, this came up on the morning show today, and I said, anybody could email me right now who you think the 12 best teams are. I got 6 emails. All 6 of them were different. And I can do that 100 times. There's no such thing as the best 4, the best 12. We need to get rid of that phrase. It doesn't exist. You have to win games.
It's a talking point.
Yeah.
Well, then why even play the regular season at that point? Just
Exactly. What are we doing here?
Yeah.
I cannot believe the crybaby routine that a lot of these people are pulling off. It's absolutely asinine.
What makes it so egregious with Herbstreit is he said this on live television before the Tennessee-Ohio State game. He was being interviewed, and he said it with a straight face.
That's surprising. He would say that. Like that's an insane thing to say.
Yeah, well, it's a good thing he's not on the committee. I like the fact that the committee at least acknowledges the importance of a conference championship, at the very least.
Yeah, well, if he said that, then he's a part of the problem, because that's one of the issues, is that you got people on two different sides. So you've got like the Alabama type people, and they go, well, what about strength of schedule? Like, all they want to matter is strength of schedule. And then you've got other people that go, well, all that should matter is your record. And it's neither. It's both. Like, that's why you have a committee of 13 people with 13 different opinions, 13 different ideas, 13 rankings, and you average them out and you go, these are the 12 playoff teams. All of it counts to some degree, but like, y'all don't think it should be just record, right? Like, no one thinks Army should be ranked ahead of Georgia or whatever, right?
Truth is,
I think Army had a better argument than Boise did, but that's about it.
Truth is, Bama, they got the benefit of the doubt already, because they were ranked really high in the AP poll, regardless of the fact that they had 3 losses. They were ranked higher than Arizona State, even though Arizona State was in the playoffs and they weren't.
But by him saying that we should stop looking at the record, wins. I think he actually said that. When didn't he say wins don't matter or something like that?
Something to that effect.
Yeah,
I'll find that clip, Lou, and I'll email it to you.
What he said was insane. If you think that doesn't matter, then you're also saying that losses don't matter. So we're just supposed to write off the fact that Alabama lost to Vanderbilt and Oklahoma?
Yeah, basically what you're doing at that point is just making a playoff team of the 12 best recruiting You're just using recruiting rankings to these are the best 12 teams because they recruit the best. Like, that's not what makes a team. Like, the upsets happen. That's why one of the reasons we love sports. I mean, upsets happen every week. Like, that has to count for something.
And then you've got the South Carolina, Ole Miss, and Alabama fans going, see what happened to Indiana? Our team would have beat them by 3 touchdowns. Well, we don't know that. I mean, we saw you lose to a 4-win team, Ole Miss. We saw you lose to a 6-win team, Alabama. What makes you think that you're going to go in there and automatically beat Indiana by 4 touchdowns?
I guarantee you, Indiana and SMU both would have beat the fuck out of Oklahoma.
Yeah. Well, we all know this. Everybody's undefeated in hypothetical matchups.
Yep, hypothetical champions of the world: Alabama, Ole Miss, and South Carolina.
I told an Alabama fan that the other day when he was talking. I said, what you might do or what you could do can't trump what you did do.
Yeah. I mean,
what you did do was get blown out by the worst Oklahoma team in 25 years. What you might do doesn't matter compared to that.
We've seen, and I know the NFL is different, but in this matter, it does matter. We've seen 8-8 wild card teams win the Super Bowl. Yeah. Before.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I brought up, Kansas City getting blown out. Tampa was a wild card team that year.
Yeah.
Didn't Seattle win as a wild card one year? With
Tampa, New York, and Green Bay, I think, are the 3 wild cards that have won the Super Bowl.
Speaking of Green Bay, how many of you seen that Aaron Rodgers documentary on Netflix?
I didn't know it existed, but that sounds fascinating.
I watched it last night. It is fascinating.
Does he really let them video him with the ayahuasca routine?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Is he fucked up?
You got to watch it. That's all I can say.
Do you need to be high on mushrooms to watch it?
No. I actually enjoyed the documentary. It goes. I guess it took place over 2 entire seasons. Ever since he signed with the Jets. I guess that was 2023, right? Yeah, last year. So it goes through all of his 2 seasons with his injuries and the ayahuasca, and it goes all the way back to his high school and college days and how that all played out. I think it's pretty well done.
I mean, that makes sense because his first season with the Jets ended in 4th place, so he had plenty of free time.
Yeah.
Is he the weirdest athlete in the NFL right now?
I like him. You have to watch it to kind of understand his mindset. He's definitely different.
Yeah.
But
what was it you were telling me? He went to a restaurant you couldn't speak, or
no, he went to this retreat. He doesn't just do ayahuasca retreats. He does all this weird shit. He went to this thing, and this was during the OTAs. He went to some mountain retreat where it's like an underground cabin, and they lock you in there for 5 days with no, it's in complete darkness. It's complete darkness, complete silence. There's a toilet in there, a bed in there, and they slide food underneath the door every once in a while for you.
What?
Yeah.
What is this, the new Bohemian Grove? What the fuck?
Yeah.
you should do that. Sounds fun.
He sits in there and meditates for 24 hours a day or something. I don't know.
What?
Yeah, Jack Dorsey's probably there too.
And there were some other NFL players, former teammates of his from Green Bay, that were also on those ayahuasca trips with him. He goes down to Costa Rica twice a year to do the ayahuasca. Yeah.
I'm not familiar with ayahuasca. Is that some hallucinogenic?
Yeah, it's
drug?
it's like the strongest psychedelic there is. It's like mushrooms times 10.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's you do it. You don't just go do it once. It's a 3 or 4 days in a row that you do it every day for 4 days in a row. So you're just tripping for 4 days.
Is that legal?
Not here. That's why he goes to Costa Rica to do it
Yeah, it's legal in Costa Rica.
with a shaman
Some
in
of those
that.
medical treatments Peyton Manning went and took before he played for the Broncos. He
He's
had to go to Sweden or Switzerland or some shit because it wasn't legal here.
That's part of the documentaries. He's got apparently a lot of trauma from his childhood. He's estranged from his family. Apparently his parents were super religious, and he grew up in this fucking really hardcore church and all that. So he's trying to escape all that. That's what it is.
Careful, Pete. People get mad at you for bringing that up.
Yeah, look, listen. Aaron Rodgers can shove that shit up his ass. I'm not going to sit here and listen to some fucking bitchy millionaire whine about how hard their life is.
Well, I mean, it's his personal life.
Was it about how hard it is or how it was? Because that is 2 different things.
Was.
Okay, then. Well, that makes it a little better at least.
Yeah.
Because, no, I don't believe there's any millionaire that's having a hard time in life.
Yeah, I don't think he's complaining about his life now. He's complaining about his life then.
Oh my God, my mommy didn't let me go to the party with my friends.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's worth complaining over.
Anyway, it's worth watching. Even if you don't like Aaron Rodgers, it's worth watching. I like him though.
I got nothing to. The only problem I have with Aaron Rodgers is the on again, off again man bun. Outside of that, I ain't got no problem with it. I protest man buns.
Pete, I got people mad at me for saying it's ridiculous that everyone that hits the portal puts the "in God's hands" thing. People were really upset about that.
Why?
Oh, good Lord.
Well, people started defending God for some reason in a YouTube comment section. One guy put, "I don't know why you brought that up, but I got to stand up and say something."
Isn't it mostly in other coaches' hands?
What do you mean?
Yeah,
Well, when you enter the portal, it's not really in God's hands; it's in other head coaches' hands.
Yeah, well, he's right because there's about 2,000 of them that get left in that portal.
I guess God doesn't like them that much.
Guess not.
Well,
Or it's
and
about just
God's
got the
plans
faith
change
back.
every year, evidently.
Please, you got to respect their decision.
I mean, this year the portal is strange to me. Like, there are guys entering the portal that, like Malik Murphy leaving Duke doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Like, you just went 9-3. Why are you not looking to build on that?
I mean, it's 100% driven by money. Like, Georgia Tech had a receiver that, like, he worked for Tech. I mean, he's not a top name, but he just put his name in the portal or threatened to get a better offer from Tech. So people will hit the portal, not necessarily with an intention to leave their team. They're trying to pressure their team to get paid.
Yeah, I mean, I thought about it. That's really the only reason I could come up with why Isaiah Horton's leaving Miami, because, sure, he was in the rotation. He was probably, wide receiver number 4. But you're going to be wide receiver 1 this year. Now you're going to go to Alabama to be wide receiver 4 again. It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
A lot of it is based on how you can get the biggest paycheck, though.
Did Malik Murphy, did he land somewhere yet?
Not yet. They said he was going to go to Kentucky, and then I guess that fell through.
Actually, I think he committed to Oregon State.
Yeah, I thought I heard that too. Yeah, which is weird. I mean, that seems like a lateral move to me, doesn't it?
Actually, no, that'd be a step down.
Right.
I mean, does Oregon State even have a path to the playoffs?
I wonder if something happened at Duke to where they told him, like, you're not going to be the starting quarterback starting next year.
I don't know. He had a pretty good year. He had his best year ever yet.
Right. Yeah. I don't know what happened.
Well, it was also his first year as a starter too. I mean, he had come in before. Obviously Quinn has a habit of getting hurt, so he had come in and took over for Quinn then. But yeah, this was his first year, starting 12 games.
Dang.
And like, here's the thing: if they can improve, who says Duke can't make the ACC title game?
I say it.
You don't think so?
Yeah, I'll say it.
Yeah, I'd say probably not.
I mean, I'm not saying they have the best chance, but I mean, going 9-3, that's a good starting point. I don't think anybody's going to knock all Handy Manny for going 9-3 his first year at Duke.
No, I mean, that's great for Duke, but what are the chances they win 10 games next year? Pretty slim.
I'd say even Georgia Tech has a better shot of that.
Yeah, I think so too.
Probably. Duke's problem, and to some degree Tech, is just holding on to the players you have. Like, I think Singleton Jr. just committed to Auburn in the portal. Like, that's going to be
Auburn's cleaning up, man.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but they got Jackson Arnold, though.
I don't think Jackson Arnold was Oklahoma's problem. Not when you look at how many wide receivers and offensive linemen were hurt all year.
Threw a lot of interceptions, man, and that was Auburn's problem this year.
That is true. He did.
Mm-hmm.
But I also think that Hugh Freeze, whatever we think about him, I think he will get more out of any random quarterback than Brent Venables will. Like, he's a pretty good offensive guy, Hugh Freeze. There's something there with Jackson Arnold, he'll find it.
Yeah, I mean, Brent Venables, he'll find it out of a defensive guy, but he's at the whim. He's only going to go as high offensively as whatever our offensive coordinator he hires will take him.
Right, he fires them every year. I mean, the next year is going to be their third offensive coordinator in 3 years.
Well, if they have a year like that next year, he'll be the one that's fired, not the other way around.
Facts.
What's he making right now? Has he got a fat contract?
Yeah, he's making like 9 or 10 million.
Yeah, for 9 or 10 million, I'm expecting a playoff every year.
Here's a question I have to ask. So, Caden Salter, a guy from Liberty, who's a pretty good quarterback, he just committed to Colorado. Does anybody here think that Deion's staying for another year at Colorado, or is he gone?
He'll stay.
Yeah,
if he gets offered any other job, he'll leave.
According to him, he said he's Colorado will be his last job. That's what he said.
I mean, here's my thing with Colorado.
Nobody else wants him.
Here's my thing with Colorado. They had a good season, better than I predicted them to do. But the way he has built that team, when you're literally one injury away from not winning another football game, that's not a good team.
Yeah. Hey, let me ask y'all, since we have two representatives of the We're Back list here, do y'all have a preference of who replaces Notre Dame alongside you two prestigious institutions there on the We're Back list?
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Who?
Tennessee, Miami, and Florida are still on it. Notre Dame is off of it because they won a playoff game. So we got to replace Notre Dame with somebody on the We're Back list. Some of the suggestions have been Colorado, Texas A&M, Nebraska, Auburn.
Nebraska's a good one, but I mean, Nebraska doesn't have a big presence online though.
Yeah,
And technically, neither does Colorado.
I would say A&M's a really good. A&M's a really good one because every year I hear about how A&M's really good at recruiting. You know, they're back. You know, they're winning at least 10 games, and I expect
there. Like,
No, they never were there.
No, A&M hasn't won 10 games since '99, I think.
I mean, 2020 was their best year in a really long time, and that was the COVID year.
I mean, I feel like to be back, you had to be there at some point.
Were you not alive in 1939, bud?
Yeah, man. They won a national title when Hitler controlled most of the world.
Yeah,
They were a World War team.
You're right.
Yeah, how about Auburn on the We're Back list?
Well, Tech's a better candidate for that. I mean, we were at least good in the 60s, 70s. Maybe Tech can be back.
We were good in the
Auburn
90s
did
too.
make the SEC title game in 2017.
That's true. And they have won a national title in the last, 20 years.
I was going to say put South Carolina on the We're Back list, but they were never there either.
Yeah, they've never been there.
They made the Cheez-It Bowl. That's prestigious enough for them.
Well, according to them, they should have been the number one seed in the playoffs because, they beat Clemson.
I think Auburn's a good candidate.
Yeah, I think Auburn's a good candidate. I mean, I guess because of all the Deion stands, Colorado would be too.
What about USC?
Yeah.
USC would be a good one.
No, shit.
Southern Cal.
That I'll admit is probably my biggest surprise is how, I figured at worst, they would still have an amazing offense every year and, kind of be like what they were at Oklahoma.
They're a dumpster fire.
They're wanting to get rid of Riley, right? I mean, they're paying him $10 million a year.
They can't afford to get rid of him. I mean, they have to ride that out with because they went beyond just paying him a salary. They bought that man 2 houses, a private jet. They bought that man all kinds of crap. They kind of have to ride it out.
They rub his feet every Tuesday. You got it made out there. No one cares about football there.
True.
I think for shits and giggles, you should just put Alabama on that list. Imagine, because if the goal is to piss people off, I can already imagine just how irate you'd make some of those people because they have been, they've been crying to such an extent I can't even describe it.
I know.
Oh, you really want to set them off? I've been screwing with them on Twitter the past few days. And I keep telling them how Jalen Milrose is still going to be their starting quarterback next year.
Yeah, and this is
he ain't getting drafted.
Ironic. It's especially ironic since all of last year when Florida State got left out, Alabama fans are on here saying, well, we were better than you, and that's all that counts. And now that they're not in the playoffs, now suddenly all the excuses that Florida State fans are making are the exact same thing Alabama fans are doing. The hypocrisy is unreal.
Yeah,
this is true.
And I started to lighten up on Florida State fans, but for some reason they decided to come at Miami for getting left out and going 10-2. I'm like, bruh, you were 2-10. Get out of here.
I don't even know why they're on the internet after that, but I tell you who would be a good one with who they just hired as their head coach is North Carolina.
No.
Dude, I literally had a Ohio or a Florida State fan tweet at me. 10-2 might as well be 2-10. That's the standard here at Florida State. No mediocre. I'm like,
Wow.
Wow.
They suck.
I love the internet. I swear I do.
It's a glorious place, ain't it?
All right, y'all, I gotta go. We got some errands we gotta run today, but I'll talk to y'all later.
All right.
Yeah.
See you later.
No, I like the Belichick thing because their fans are going to come out of the woodwork, and like they already are. I've already pissed them off because I think it's an awful hire.
Ooh, what
That's
about,
because it is.
What about West Virginia now that they've hired Rich Rod again?
We're back to 8-4.
Yeah.
I mean, this isn't a shot at any West Virginia fans, but I look at West Virginia kind of like I do South Carolina. Like, you just are what you are as a football program. Go win a women's basketball natty or something and be happy.
Yeah, until you prove otherwise.
I mean, didn't they run Rich Rod off because they weren't any good?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah.
But Pat McAfee played for him, so you got that.
Oh yeah, he got the McAfee stamp of endorsement. That goes a long way. Yeah.
What he went to?
I mean, I don't
Michigan.
think Rich Rod's a bad coach.
Well, I'm sure he's better than who they had, probably. Yeah.
Well, Neil Brown,
fired.
Yeah.
Doo Brown.
Oh, okay.
Oh. I think it's a terrible hire too, Bill Belichick. But you know, a lot of people think it's like the greatest hire ever. I just don't get it.
I think he can recruit well because he's Bill Belichick, but
Why would you say that?
just because he's Bill Belichick, literally, I don't have anything other
Like
than
just
that.
based off of his name.
Yeah, some coaches just get that, and I think Belichick is going to be one of them. But
Well, here's my
how's that
problem with
going to be on
Belichick.
the field?
Here's my problem with him. Everybody knows what the man wants. He wants one last NFL gig to get those 9 wins to be the winningest coach ever in the NFL.
Well,
Yeah.
he's running out of time. I mean, if he stays at North Carolina for 3 years, then he's 75. So, is an NFL franchise going to hire a 75-year-old Bill Belichick to come back anywhere?
Yes, they will.
No.
I mean, if he has a lot of success, the thing is,
I mean,
I
Bruce
don't
Arians was
feel-
no spring chicken.
I did a whole video on it. They've got to pay him $30 million guaranteed to fire him. He only has to give them basically $1 million to leave at any point. At any point. So there's not a situation where this works for them. If he's good, he's gone, or he sucks, and you're paying a guy $10 million to suck.
Yeah, that was a crazy contract too. Didn't they guarantee his son to take over for him?
No,
No.
that is not in the contract.
Okay. Where did I hear?
But
Why did I
he
hear that?
did- He did have a stupid ass manifesto of demands, and that was on there.
Well, I know that included how much money they'd spent on the football program, right?
And I even question that. Like, they're doing well in the portal, I guess, but I don't. How do you verify what someone's NIL collective even is? I mean, I could just say, yeah, Georgia Tech has a fucking $30 million NIL collective. Like, how are you going to tell me I'm wrong other than what players were signing?
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, that's the thing with the NIL. There's so much stuff. Like I heard rumors that Miami paid Cam Ward $3 million for that 1 year.
I heard rumors that they want Quinn Ewers at North Carolina, and that they're willing to open up the checkbook for him.
Wait a minute, just $3 million?
I think here's the thing. He didn't get paid $3 million from the NIL, but I think with the other deals he got, it's probably up there around $3 million because he also became a brand rep for Adidas, and then he got that big deal with Bose.
Can we all agree that this is going to run back the other way at some point? Because
Oh yeah.
this is the whole reason Lane is bitching the way he is. is he convinced his donors to pony up all this money, and he's sitting outside the playoffs. So the market is really decided by these donors. And at some point, they're going to be like, well, fuck this. I'm not paying all this money to be sitting outside the playoffs.
Well,
to your point, Rick, and Squid, I'm not picking on you, but
I was about to say this. Yeah.
Tennessee's a perfect example of they're not going to be quick to pony up $8 million for a quarterback again.
No.
I'm going to say this, and I mean, obviously, this just a minute ago, this got me yelled at, but it's the truth. Nico out there on that field against Ohio State was the best player on the team. And yes, he wasn't by best player. I don't mean he was playing elite. He was the best guy on the team that night. The receivers couldn't catch. The defenders couldn't stop anybody. We couldn't get any pass protection or pass defense. We got nothing going on our favor. But him, just based on him trucking that one Ohio State guy, at least he's putting in the effort to try and do something. So
yeah, well, $8 million for effort it ain't going to cut it.
No, I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that one bit. But
yeah,
I'm less angry. I'm less angry at that than I am that Tennessee charging extra money for tickets based on a 10% talent fee.
Well, what that 10% talent fee is that $20 million from the revenue split. And I don't know why anybody's surprised. These universities aren't going to cut into their own profit. They're just going to charge us more.
Hey, speaking of that, so hell froze over. Clemson is now starting to sell alcohol at the stadium starting next year.
Oh, y'all hadn't been doing that?
No.
I don't even know.
No, every year it comes on, up for the Board of Trustees to vote on. Every year it's been unanimous no. This year, unanimous yes. And they said exactly why. Because we have to have the money to pay players.
That's about as crazy as Dabo picking up a player from the transfer portal.
Yeah, 2 of them.
How did the Nerds have alcohol at Bobby Dodd before the Tigers?
Yeah, well,
surprising.
I didn't think we'd ever see the day, but in the new landscape of college football, they almost have to be able to compete with the Tennessee. Clemson is a mid-sized university. It's not huge. They don't have the amount of money that Tennessee and them have. Although I did see a graphic of in 2024, the amount of money that was spent by certain teams on the football program. Clemson was 3rd in the nation.
Yeah, I don't look
like
at
$68 million or something.
Yeah, like that's something that surprised me. Like Clemson student body wise is about the size of Miami.
No, way bigger than Miami. Clemson's got almost 30,000 undergrad. Miami's got like 8.
No, Miami's got like 22.
Oh, they do?
Yes.
Okay. I thought they were a lot smaller than that.
No, they're not that small.
The thing is, for Tennessee, I think we're going to make ourselves look like total jackasses if we don't fire our offensive coordinator or do something from now till the end of the season. Pick up a lot more players in the portal, pick up more receivers, do something different. Because this is the second year in a row where we've had a good defense with an offense that's as good as Savin's microphone before he got a new one.
I don't think the offensive coordinator's your problem. Like, you can't look, you're like, you were right. They've had a drop ball problem all year. Not as bad as Georgia, but they've had a drop ball problem all year. That's not the offensive coordinator's fault.
No, I didn't say it was, and I'm sure it's certainly not his fault that the receivers can't get any separation. But there has to be more plays than run up the middle, screen, and that stupid ass shovel pass. There's got to be more than those 3 plays because that's all we did. There wasn't a single deep throw, not one in that Ohio State game. We have gotten so conservative. That is absolutely asinine. And
well, and see, I hear that a lot, and people put that on the offensive coordinator. When y'all put in Gadsden Moore against, I think it was Georgia, y'all had to put him in?
It was Alabama.
It was Alabama. Okay. Did the play calling change? No, it didn't. Gadsden Moore decided, I'm throwing to this guy instead of my checkdowns. That's a decision on Nico problem.
Well,
Nico's deciding not to push the ball down the field.
Well, the one time he did go off a script, it was intercepted. So, I mean, I do see where you're coming from with that. But I think this all stems from the fact that these coaches clearly do not trust Nico, and Nico probably sees that, and that's why he's not taking any deep balls or any attempts, because he knows that these coaches don't trust him. But the issue is they aren't doing anything about it. They're just saying, oh, we don't trust you. So instead of putting a different guy in who we do trust, we're going to create the most vanilla offense possible, which it can only put up maybe 20 points in an SEC game. And these are all the coordinators we've got. They're Heupel's buds. They're buddy with each other. And something tells me that if things don't change, and if he doesn't, for lack of a better term, grab a pair and fire one of these guys, then it's going to be a bad year next year. In terms of performing.
To me, if you want to fire somebody, you might need to look at your line coach.
Glenn Ellerbe.
Glenn Ellerbe
needs to go. Absolutely.
Because Ellerbe's been there 4 years. Not a single O lineman he's recruited has started a game.
And this is one of, in the offseason, this was supposed to be one of the most talented offensive lineman groups in the entire country. And they've been a complete joke. It's like watching a bunch of one-stars out there, like watching a bunch of pee-wee linemen trying to cover NFL team. Every time I watch them out there, they're getting pancaked every single time. And that can't be a talent issue, because I was told that wasn't a problem in the offseason. But they're better at holding guys than they are actually blocking them. It's insane. So something absolutely needs to change. And if it doesn't, it's going to get much worse, because we don't have the advantages that we had this year of playing Florida and Alabama at home. We're going to be playing them on the road. And I'm willing to bet that there's a possibility that we're going to lose to Mississippi State, because we got to play them in Starkville. And until I see this team, put up a better performance than they have been, it's going to be more problems in the future.
Is there any other quarterback on that roster that's worth a shit, or no?
Gaston Moore, he looked now it's Mississippi State, but he looked way more poised in the pocket than Nico did, and they actually let him throw the ball deep.
Well, there's a reason for that, though, because Gaston Moore is a 2 or 3 star that followed Heupel from UCF and has been under him for 5 years.
Right. No, he's way more of a veteran guy than Nico is. And the thing is with Nico is that he's a quarterback who with high potential that hasn't shown it yet, is what I believe. But the problem is he's never going to be able to unleash that potential if he's basically locked in a chastity belt like he's being locked right now because of this coaching staff.
See, I think some of that's self-inflicted, like I said. I think some of it is based off of your bad offensive line and your bad receivers.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree.
And the problem's going to be your offensive line is going to be worse next year.
Right. And so
every one of those guys is gone. And yeah, sure, you got David Sanders, but David Sanders is going to be a true freshman. And, I had a 5-star as well, at true freshman playing at right tackle. He gave up the majority of the 14 sacks our offensive line gave up.
Right. From what I've seen, Javonte Spraggins and Cooper Mays are the only guys on that offensive line this year that have really actually proven something to me, because everybody else, including supposed 5-star transfer Lance Hurd, have done absolutely nothing but cause holds and have gotten clowned on the entire season. It's unreal. I was watching Jack Sawyer in that Ohio State game got to Nico at least 15 times and sacked him half of those. It's unreal.
Is Nico like 5'10" and we didn't know it, because they kept batting all his balls down all night?
No, I have no idea. I think he's taller than that. But
I know he's taller than that, but I'm saying the problem you had in that Ohio State game is there was at least 5 or 6 passes that were batted down at the line.
Mm-hmm. Well, I've got a question for Squid, because I actually brought this up when I did this Belichick video. Like, college offenses have had to be simplified because of the portal. Because you got to have an offense that a quarterback can come in 1 year and run. And this is why quarterbacks don't do well starting early in the NFL. And that seems like it should be an advantage for Tennessee.
Mm-hmm. Well, people talk about the high tempo offense and how it's just a gimmick and it don't work. The reason why it worked so well the first 2 years was because we were way more aggressive with how we played. And that's basically it. The answer is we were way more aggressive with how we played in those first 2 years under Alex Golesh. We threw the ball deep after we'd run the ball. We'd attack them through the air. And our quarterback, but beyond all else, this coaching staff trusted the quarterback. They do not trust Nico, not one bit.
I don't know. Well, you don't have a Jalen Hyatt on that team, so do they not trust Nico or do they not trust the wide receiver core?
Whatever it is, they don't trust the team fully, and that's something that Ohio State didn't have a problem with having. They obviously trusted their team fully. So,
was that just in the Ohio State game? In other words, are you not throwing downfield in that game because you're getting locked up at wide receiver, or they're playing quarters and they're just spacing well in quarters?
That's been all year. Tennessee's been a run-heavy team, and not really pushing the ball down the field in the pass game.
What irritates me so much about this entire thing is that I thought Dylan Sampson got hurt really early in the Ohio State game, and so he had to be pulled out. But as it turns out, he had a hamstring injury right after the Vanderbilt game came to a close. And this coaching staff knew that for 3 weeks in advance and didn't do dick all with it. They didn't prepare a new playbook in advance because they knew Sampson probably wasn't going to be able to play. They just did the exact same thing they did with a running back who was clearly not prepared to go through that defensive line. And it was clear who prepared and who didn't at the end of the day. This coaching staff just doesn't cut it. Forget SEC level coaching. I don't even know if this coach is good enough for a JV league high school team. So it's something. So a lot of these guys have to go. And if Heupel keeps them around, it's going to be, I feel like it's going to be a Todd Downing, Mike Vrabel situation where Mike Vrabel is not a bad coach, but he's going to get fired along with his coordinators, and that's how I think it might go.
I knew the minute that Tennessee players came out pregame with no shirts on, they were going to lose.
Yeah,
that reminded me of when Georgia Tech had the players on the sideline with the weights.
Yeah, that was dumb as hell.
Yeah,
that was a Collins stupidity.
Well, Squid, I mean, I get your point of view. I do. I would have thought as a Tennessee fan, you'd have learned your lesson by now.
What do you mean?
Y'all ain't figured out that firing somebody is not the answer to every problem you think you have.
No,
I mean, you've been doing it for 20 years at this point, and it ain't, going the firing route every time you're not happy hasn't worked out so well for you.
I haven't said once that we need to fire Heupel. I don't think that's true.
I didn't say Heupel, did I? But guess what? You want a perfect example of why Tyler Van Dyke ended up the way he did? 3 offensive coordinators in 4 years.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this, Slim. Are you happy with Miami's defense this season?
I know what happened to Miami's defense. They had a bunch of injuries in the secondary and had to play a bunch of true freshmen who aren't going to play that bad next year. It's all situational, depending on what it is.
Yeah, to Slim's point, you remember last year, Cade Klubnik was terrible. Clemson's offense was terrible. Garrett Riley, all the fans were, oh my God, Garrett Riley's a bust. Get rid of this guy. If they would have got rid of him, I mean, meanwhile, Clemson had one of the top 10 offenses in the country this year. And Klubnik's one of the best 5 quarterbacks in the country this year. So...
Well, in fairness, wasn't that Garrett Riley's first year last year?
Yeah, it was Garrett Riley's first year, and it was Klubnik's first year, well, as a starter.
Well, this is Joey Hosley's second year. He was under Joe Milton and worked with him, and this offense. The thing is, our offense last year was way better than our offense this year. That's the biggest problem, is that it is significantly regressed with no reasoning for it other than just injuries. That's not good enough for me.
Well, injuries and well, you've said some of them. You've got a bunch of drop balls. That's been like Squirrel White, his biggest problem this year, and that's not a coaching thing. You don't come to a school like Tennessee and have to be coached up how to catch the ball.
Right. Well, if we're not going to fire anybody for this, the best thing we can do is search for a bunch of guys in the portal. We're going to have to probably take more of a Colorado route and look for some more guys, look for more receivers in the transfer portal, because obviously these guys aren't cutting it. And I already heard that Squirrel might be hitting the portal. And, which case,
Squid, I brought it up earlier. 1 year in the portal isn't gonna fix your problem. You are so outmatched talent-wise against Ohio State. Josh Heupel just needs to recruit better year in and year out.
That's also true. Yeah.
That's still a portal thing, though. That they got to keep. They got to keep those players. But that brings up another. I don't know if we've talked about this, and I know. Let's set aside the drop balls for 1 second. Let's say Nico was the problem. You're paying him so much, you can't really bench him, can you?
That's a good point.
Not really. No. But again, I haven't seen him be the major problem of this team. We just got finished talking about how the receivers.
I was just saying, for argument's sake, look at another team. They have a quarterback they're paying that kind of money who just isn't working out. I mean, at some point, our donor is going to dictate who starts.
Well, they are. I mean, to your point, it's just like what was there. What's going on in Tennessee was the same thing that was going on in Atlanta. They paid Kirk Cousins so much money they had to play him. Same exact thing is going on in Tennessee. They're paying Nico so much money they have to pay him. Well, yeah, because the way things are done like a business in the NFL, and they're going to end up cutting Kirk Cousins and saving themselves about $10 million.
Well, as I'm sure you guys know, even me to an extent, but thankfully not to the max like some of these Tennessee fans, they have a extremely short leash with, bad performances on the field. And I think if things continue like they are, it's not going to be pretty, because next year I definitely see Tennessee significantly regressing, because what about this offense is going to improve next year? What's going to change if the coaches aren't going to change, and the quarterback's not going to change, and the receivers aren't going to change, and the line's not going to change? What's going to change? It's going to be the exact same thing. And with a defense that's probably going to regress, and the fact that we have to play Florida and Bama on the road, what possibility is there that Tennessee makes the playoffs or even sniffs it?
Why do you have this problem, though? Because I've listened to a few different Tennessee. One of them hooked on something, but they're telling me they have the largest NIL collective in the country. I've heard that from multiple Tennessee fans. Why are you having this talent issue if that's the case?
I don't know. I don't understand.
I need to get a bunch of batteries anyway.
Nothing about it makes sense, and that's why it's so irritating. We have this high and almighty standard at Tennessee, according to these donors and everybody else, because of this 10% talent fee that we're giving out, the whole talent fee thing that no other team is doing. Not even the teams that have won championships since this century. They're not even doing that.
Everybody's fixing to be doing that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Clemson has the same thing going on.
All that is their way of all that is their way of that $20 million that they're fixing to divvy up starting next year to pass that cost on to us. That's all that is.
Yeah, I think Clemson did the 10% talent fee thing too.
I mean, it's ridiculous for a team to be doing this that hasn't even won their conference since the 90s. It's just getting so old. The offense has gotten so stale, and it's getting worse. That's the thing. There's no sign of improvement. Not one bit.
Hire me. We'll run Hail Marys every play.
Well, and therein lies part of the problem, and I can't get Miami fans to grasp a hold of this either. When you've been down for 20 years, you don't come out of it in 4. It took Dabo more than 4 years to get Clemson turned around.
Well, another thing is we're using the same excuses that we were using year 1. Oh, look at what Jeremy Pruitt did to this program. We're dealing with a lot of scholarship issues, and that can't be the problem anymore. It's year 4.
No, it's Squid. It's not just Jeremy Pruitt. It's Derek Dooley. It's Butch Jones. It's Jeremy Pruitt. You're compounding the problem with every bad coaching hire.
But didn't you sue the NCAA and you don't have to be beholden to those penalties anymore? No,
they sued the NCAA because the NCAA tried to come after them for impermissible benefits to Nico.
Yeah, and obviously that wasn't true because they backed down. At least that's one thing I could hang my head on.
No, it probably was true, but the NCAA just doesn't win anything in court unless it's against Florida State or Clemson, apparently.
They lost to Vandy's quarterback, so NCAA can't win for losing.
Nate's been waiting to come into the...
Yeah, Nate's mad at me for I don't know what he's mad at.
Nate's always mad.
Nate's mad because you didn't pay for his cruise.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, how dare you?
You should do
speaking of paying for cruises. Speaking of
I hope everybody has.
Well, I know one person on this panel who hasn't done that yet.
Oh, Pete reminded me. When is that? When do I have to pay that?
That was yesterday.
That was yesterday, Skippy.
That was last night. You're going to start getting fined. You're going to start getting fined if you don't do that today, you cheap ass. I mean, come on, you Georgia Tech people, you got all these degrees and all kinds of stuff like that, and you can't even fucking figure out how to, read a calendar. Let's go.
I have no excuse, fools. I'll get off and pay it.
Yeah, exactly. As soon as you get off of this panel, get on there and pay for that thing now so you don't get fined. I think, if you don't pay for it today, they're going to, penalize you. So.
All right, I will do it.
All right.
You and Pete, I think, reminded me of that too.
Yeah.
I'm a son of a bitch.
And you said
you're just a dumbass.
I told you.
Hey, I am the king procrastinator, and mine's paid off.
I told you on
That's all pile on, you motherfuckers.
I told you Friday or Thursday or Friday of last week, and you're like, all right, I'm on it.
I sent him a text too, and he didn't even reply to it. That's how bad this is getting.
Who's running it this year? The Olympics? Is it
Pete?
Pete what? Okay, no, I'm not.
I was going to say we need a 10% Pete fee. Everybody's got to pay you 10% for the cruise.
Oh no! Actually, I'm running it.
Yeah, Fools is running it.
10%. You're doing it 10%. Yeah, I'll take it.
I'm not running anything. But Hufferbilly Paul canceled his cruise trip. Did y'all hear about that?
No.
Yeah, and he didn't even tell anybody.
Well, I spent a lot of time in the past 2 days with him and Jay Shipes. They're about to book it again under their names. So,
but why?
They're still. I don't know. They're still coming. You know how some of these people, they have you could go from point A to point B very quickly and very easily, or you can go through Z to get there. Yeah, they're going through Z to get from point A to point B.
Yeah, we canceled our trip just to rebook it for no reason. I mean,
exactly. They'll be there. They will be there.
How much?
I'm going to say Jay Shipes would figure out a way to stow away with the cargo if he had to.
How much does it cost for them specifically? Since they're
depends on which room you get.
Okay, but what would you say the average would be?
Probably the cheapest is what, $700-800?
It's $800 for the cheapest one, yeah.
Yeah, I figured so. Yeah, not feasible for me. I was thinking about it, but
you gotta split it. You gotta split it with somebody. Then it's only $400.
Yeah, it's $800 for a room, but you can get 2 people in a room,
and it's $400 apiece. Yeah,
that's still probably too much.
So we got.
Look, if $400 is too much, you know what you need to do is get a job.
I do have a job.
Well, you need to get another one.
Every one of these events we've done cost at least that, just to stay in a roach motel.
Like, you have to figure Squid, going to Panama City, you spent more than that.
Part A, I split that up with 3 people, and part B, I don't have anybody to split up with this time.
Sure you do.
Law Tide.
Law Tide canceled too.
Oh, did he?
It canceled.
Yeah.
See, Humper Billy Paul's in the chat saying, I'm coming back to cruise. Now, somebody said, I speak in cocktail. Read Humper Billy Paul's statement and tell me what he speaks in. I speak in cocktail. He says, I'm coming back to cruise. Yeah. So he must.
He sounds like Arnold Schwarzenegger. I come back to cruise.
Right.
If he dies, he dies.
He dies.
I think is Nate still trying to get in the panel? Nate.
Oh, are you taking over Vic's spot now?
Yeah, he is.
Hashtag let Nate in.
I mean, Nate.
Hello?
Hello?
Yeah.
Hello?
Hello. We can't hear you, Nate. I think you're. Is Nate muted?
Nate, have you calmed down?
I'm here.
Now kick him back out.
No, you don't.
Hello? I can't hear Nate.
I think Nate's muted. I can't hear him.
I think he needs to reboot his telephone.
No, I'm just waiting until you guys stop trolling me.
Nate, are you perturbed or irate?
Both.
Why?
I don't know, but above Nate's head, it looks like something out of Revelations. Is this like, I mean, is this a plague coming down? Are those locusts, or is that a cloud? Or
No, it was this. You know that slick hair from last night.
No, I'm talking about I'm talking about the swarm of locusts above your head.
Nate the Great, live from the rapture.
Right.
Yeah, Jesus is about to ascend or descend, I guess.
Jesus is about to ascend. Good Lord, Rec Talk, come on.
Georgia Tech grads, man.
What? Isn't that what I read that book?
Well, Nate, obviously you had something very important to tell us. That's why you're irate. So what's so important?
Well, I had nothing to tell you guys, but I was waiting for like 35 minutes.
Yeah, you have nothing exactly. Well, there you go.
Well, then what are you so irate about if you had nothing to tell us?
I just said it. I was waiting for 35 minutes before this one, and
Nate, waiting is something you better get used to in life, there, buddy.
Yeah.
Apparently, you've never had any dealings with the DMV.
Not yet. Yeah. Yes. Still gotta get that. So yes.
So he has nothing to say. This is the thing.
Well,
he did have something to say. He just said, so yeah.
I just want to say it.
I think Nate should do like Nate. You really need to shave, but you should shave everything except your neck.
Second.
Yeah, I'll third that motion.
Yeah, I tried the handlebar. Beard.
Hey, Rec Talk. Guess who does have their cruise paid off?
Nate. Rec Talk, you are not. Nate is more responsible than you at this point, Rec Talk.
Well, listen, I'm not going to dogpile on Rec like that. Let's be honest. Nate has never paid anything off ever in his life.
I have, but I canceled one, an excursion. So
Nate paid off a computer one time. Nate did pay off a computer one time.
Well, I forgot about the Temu computer. My bad.
What about last swabs? Who paid for that?
Look at his face.
Yeah, Nate bought an excursion for him and Nick DTV on the cruise.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. It sounds more like a date than an excursion.
Well, I mean, I'd rather not wait and there's no tickets. But
what excursion did you buy, Nate?
Yeah, that's a good question.
It was a private.
Private.
Beach day, I guess.
A private beach date with you and Nick DTV.
That sounds
I mean,
awesome.
Pete, you go on a guy's trip. Why can't I? I mean,
He wants to go on a guy's trip too, only with Nick D TV though.
Yeah,
Nick
right.
D is he's a pretty good looking guy. I don't blame you, Nate. I mean, if I had to be gay, I'd probably pick Nick D too.
That's pretty cool.
I know,
Yeah.
it's fun.
We should go around and say who we'd be gay with if we were gay.
Well,
Yeah, I'm in the spirit of college football, I'm opting out of that one.
Nah, it's not a choice, bro. You got to choose. And I'm offended if
Please
it's not
respect
me.
the decision.
Nate's right. I do go on guys' trips, but before I book the trip, I consult the other guys about whether or not they want to go on the trip. I don't just book a trip for me and other people.
Well,
Is that called booking then?
For the record, Rick, you would be below touchdown Tim on that list.
you know what? Fuck you.
Listen, we all know Rec Talk would pick Sea Dog. You know, there's no doubt about it. He's already got it planned out. They'd be running down the beach like something out of a Hallmark movie.
Well, Rick almost owed Sea Dog a hand job anyway.
Hold on. Can we talk about that touchdown, Tim? I'd get on Twitter sometimes, and I'd see under like a pic of a college girl's ass. Touchdown, Tim. I'd cheat on my wife.
That is the horniest man on the internet, without a shadow of a doubt.
I don't know. Have you ever looked at Neo's? Have you ever looked at Neo's replies on the internet on Twitter before?
Well,
yeah,
I
if
don't
you really want
follow
to
Neo on Twitter.
You think touchdown, and me neither, but somebody showed me that the other night. If you think touchdown Tim's replies on Twitter are you know, at least he's replying to something that isn't bad to look at. Jesus fucking Christ. Go on there and look at Neo's replies to people on Twitter.
No.
Oh,
Not-
you want to see some fucked up shit.
We know.
Are you talking about Neo from YouTube?
Yeah.
Oh.
Go to his Twitter and look at the replies that he has. You know, people on there like, you know, putting those, you know, do you think, oh yeah, go on there and read his replies on YouTube if you're following him. Or not YouTube, but Twitter. Go on there and look at that. Oh yeah, every single 17-year-old twink out there, he's replying to.
Did you say twink?
Yes.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Well,
Hey, I'll just call a spade a spade. It's out there, right there for the world to see. It's not it's not like I'm pulling any guts that ain't out there.
Yeah, you're not letting some big cat out of the bag saying that Neo's
No, I
gay.
know.
Everybody knows that.
Well, I know that. Yeah.
I get. Well, I mean, hell, touchdown Tim. I read one of his articles. Had to delete the stream. I didn't realize. So he kept calling his defense terrorist after the Syracuse game. I didn't realize the bit was a 9/11 joke because they were playing in New York, and once I realized it, I had to delete the stream. I'm like, man, this is
Got
not
you
good.
hook, line, and
That's
sinker.
messed up.
It was at the end of the article though, and I
Now-
was like, oh,
You trolled
Wow.
yourself.
But that dude is something else. Like, he is commenting openly under some chick's photos about cranking one out.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. He's like, I'm gonna rub one out on you tonight, you know, and shit like that. I'm like, God damn, dude. Like,
with
He's like, forget my
5%
wife.
of his battery.
Yeah, he said something like, as soon as my wife goes to bed, within 10 minutes, I'll be on the couch with cranking my
With my
junk. Yeah.
with my pants around my ankles.
Yeah, pants around my ankles.
that dude's hilarious, though. You gotta give him that touchdown. Tim is
dude,
freaking
I'm
hilarious.
still me and Rick are going back and forth. Like,
We gotta
is
get
this
him to
dude for real or is this dude a troll?
He's a troll, man, 100%. Well, we gotta get him to the slob. He lives in Florida. Let's get him to the Slob Olympics. Come
He's
on,
not gonna do it, man. I've offered him money. to come.
dude. You don't even have enough money to pay for your own fucking Slob Olympics. Quit offering other people money.
Hey, I think it's worth it.
So TF is say I'm richer than the.
Yes, you're richer than the nerd. You are richer than the nerd.
Damn.
You know what, fools? You don't live that far from me. All right, what is that? About a 3-hour drive, 2.5 hours?
Only if you got a flat tire. I could do it in an hour and a half.
Well, that's the beauty. If I get a flat tire, I'm like, hey, before I beat your ass, could you fix this tire for me real quick? 'Cause
Wait a minute. How have you not let Tim on the ACC show yet? Seems like you're
won't
missing
do
out.
it.
We can't get him to come on.
He's a troll.
Well, this is what he told me. He's like, look, I don't get off I'm not lying, from Safeway until whatever time. And like, I'm just not going to be able to do it. I'll have to see if I can find the DM, but that's what he told me.
Rick, are you not? How did you? Did Sea Dog pay off his cruise yet?
Yep, Sea Dog.
Are you guys not rooming together?
It's Sea Dog, Mrs. Sea Dog, and B Dog. They're all paid for.
Well, Rec might be rooming with B Dog. Hopefully, he's not rooming with C Dog and Mrs. C Dog.
Can I just clear the air here? When I said I would give him a hand job if we beat Georgia, all right?
Okay.
That
Okay.
wasn't gay.
It wasn't even if you beat Georgia. It was if you got like a first down or something. It was on a specific play. Like if we score here, I'll crank you out or something like that.
You should have heard what he said he would do if they won the coin toss.
Well,
I think the best scene.
I mean, dude, when they beat Miami, him and Sea Dog with no shirts on hug longer than Kirby and Brent Key did.
I know every time. I think watching that stream, it was hilarious to watch. But every time they made like a first down, it looked like a scene from Rocky III. Where Apollo and Rocky out there dancing in their underpants in the water. Yeah. It was just like that. That's what I thought of.
Yeah, and when I hugged him, when I whispered in his ear, I said, "No, I didn't hear no bell." And we won. It worked. Hey, what is the ID for the cruise that you have to give them?
I'll go ahead and tell you right now. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Is it different for everybody, or is it? They gave me a booking number when I called and paid off, so I could log in.
Same booking number for everybody, I think.
Well, here's the thing, though. When I called, I gave them that booking number that was on. Here's what you need to do, because I had this problem too. Where is it?
If you'd have done what you were supposed to do and followed the instructions, you'd already have the app, or the, not the app, but like you'd already be signed up, and all you have to do is click on your computer one button and you're logged in, and you can manage the whole thing right there.
So here's the thing, fools, when I called them, I gave them this booking number that's on the screen right now, and they said they couldn't find it. So then here's what you got to do, Rick. Call this number, this 1-800 number, and use that extension, and that'll take you right to the person that handles our booking.
I don't see YouTube if it's on YouTube.
Okay.
You just read it to me.
Okay. The phone number is 1-800. You got something to write with?
Yeah.
All right. 1-800-764-7419.
Okay.
And then they'll ask you for an extension. The extension is 70229.
All right.
Now, when you call them, they're going to ask you for the booking number. I gave them this booking number that's on the screen. They said they couldn't find it. So I don't know.
But this isn't on me. And as far as what Fool said, time marches forward. We can't go back.
I had to give them my name and everything, and they eventually found it.
Hey, man, we've had this shit since May. Okay, so no excuses.
Yeah, and she did text me another booking number. I have that. You can try this if you want.
Okay.
No, that would be Pete. The other booking number would be your personal one.
Okay, all right. See, that's what I thought.
Confuse them with that.
All right, okay.
And you don't want to give that out on over the air because then somebody else could, wreck your shit.
All right.
Yeah, give me your booking number and I'll just stay in your room.
Yeah, look, Rec Talk.
And no, me and Sea Dog aren't rooming together. We only did that one time and maybe one other time.
And Rec Talk. The group name is Slobs, SLOBS. The booking number for the group booking number is L1BL72 is the group booking number.
All right, I get it.
And that should get you there. You should have already downloaded the to the portal thing to where you can just go in there and just click on it. You can make your payments right there. And anybody else out there that wants to go on this cruise, there are no rooms being held at this point. You just have to book, before it sells out at this point. So you can still book and come with us. Yeah, and you can help us throw Rec Talk overboard.
I'm a big dude, and by that I mean fat.
Hey, Rack, you can be me and Nick's neighbor and go on the underneath the boat.
You can be the fluffer. You can be the fluffer, Rick.
This sounds reasonable. I'm intrigued. We'll talk later.
Or you can do the balcony like my parents.
Anybody who's booking outside of the slob booking thing, if you're just booking your own room through Carnival, just make sure it's the right one. It's the Carnival Glory leaving out of Port Canaveral on March the 7th.
But you want to book through the number though, regardless, because then you will get, like a free bottle of wine and a cocktail party. I mean, people can still book in our group, and then you're eating dinner at the same time of like everything's, you'll get these extra perks if you book it through that.
Are they still allowing the perks even though it expired yesterday?
Yeah. The only thing the expired thing was for people to be able to pay
discounted rate.
Well, even if it's discounted or not, it might be cheaper tomorrow. It might be more tomorrow. You don't know. It's just rates are subject to change at this point and subject to sell out.
We had a locked in price and a guaranteed number of rooms.
Exactly.
I mean, like you could technically, if rooms aren't sold out, you can book the day before and probably get a dirt cheap price.
If there's a room.
If there's a room, that's the gamble you're taking.
And if you book through the code that we just gave you, you will get the, eat dinner. We'll all eat dinner together. We'll all have a cocktail party together. You'll get a free bottle of wine, blah, blah, blah. You're included into those extra perks.
Yeah, you get the slob perks.
Yeah, you get the slob perks. Exactly.
Can I ride with you, fool?
That's something.
You come pick me up.
Well, we're leaving a day or two early because we're going down, we're going to hang out on the beach for a couple days beforehand.
Why don't you ride down with Sea Dogs?
Sorry.
I might have to ride in the bed of his truck. I think him, was it him, his wife, B-Dog?
Hey, man, I spent 3 years riding in the bed of a truck every day that we went somewhere, so it ain't that bad.
Is it kind of like riding a train?
It's exactly like that.
Yeah, that's what you do. Take you a train down there, man. I've gotten to ride a train once, and that was cool.
I'll do it. Yeah,
it is cool.
Yeah, it is cool. It just takes longer.
Yeah, but it's taking Greyhound takes longer too. But a train is way more comfortable than Greyhound.
Yeah.
Do they let you pull the whistle thing?
Facts.
Yes, they let you pull the whistle.
I tried to, but it was classified.
Yeah, a train's a lot nicer than a plane. You can get up and walk around. I think they have a bar and a TV in there. The seats are more comfortable.
Scenery room, or whatever it's called.
Dang. Well, I'll see if I can get the money for it. Fellas, I got to skedaddle on out of here. Got to go yell at Tennessee some more.
Yeah.
So.
You know what you should be doing is going to the Dollar General and going to work so you can pay for this cruise.
I am working, fools.
Hey, to Fool's point, get another job. When me and my wife first got together, she had 5 part-time jobs. What's your excuse?
I know, like Slim, he's like, hey, I gotta bounce, guys. I gotta go troll this other YouTube channel. You could be driving around the corner. I guarantee you can throw a rock and hit a dollar store. You could go to work there for 2 weeks and pay for this cruise.
I'm working at school and I've got an 18-hour semester coming up. So I'll see
and
what
you're trolling people on YouTube. So, priorities, motherfucker.
Also, that's how.
Hey, but I'm making a little bit of cash doing it. So. Every cent counts. That's the motto I go by. I'm sure
you could sell your ass.
Yeah, you could do that.
Yeah, you probably pay for it.
Just start booking Greyhound trips. You'll be rich in no time.
Hey, I might have the ass for it. That's one thing I've got. That's one thing I've got.
Yeah.
Utilize what you got.
I've got a massive cake down there. I mean, hell, I've got the whole friggin' bakery.
No,
okay.
no.
Hey,
there's plenty of lonely old ladies in the greater Knoxville area. Go take a shot for the team, man.
That's not what I was talking about.
Yeah, I don't think I think I'd rather go with whatever Rex said.
Listen,
I'm
there is nothing in the world. There is nothing in the world wrong with an 80-year-old sugar mama as long as she's got millions.
I'm gonna say it one last time. You're a young, good-looking guy. I think Neo needs a roommate. So,
That's
you might be able to get this shit paid for. I'll work on this for you, brother. Just stay on Twitter a little more. Post some of those sultry pictures of yourself in front of a mirror, and you'll probably have your cruise paid for. Lizard might get mad at you, but it is what it is.
Will you take a fee?
So I will be. I'm going to be heading out now.
All right.
Yeah.
Love y'all.
All right. See you later, Squid. Poor Squid.
I love Squid.
Yeah, poor Squid.
I'm gonna say there's nothing wrong with being a gigolo, man. I mean, it's almost like
Gigolo.
the perfect job for a college student.
I remember what I was going to say, like from whatever I just came on. I'm not fired, to be honest.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. I just work to the mornings right now, so. Or
Are you allowed to take your phone in the bathroom still?
no.
No.
Well,
Okay, thanks.
maybe if I want to watch a YouTube video, I don't know.
You don't.
No. Oh.
Not the best.
I got shut down
Might
real
drop
quick.
it. Okay. See, I told you my dad's teamers.
What is going on?
He chaos. So basically,
Isn't that video?
no,
Okay, I wanted to look at your nose hairs.
no.
What? Nose hairs.
What's wrong with you?
I was wondering.
Oh,
Nate's got more hair in his nose than I have on my head.
What?
All right. Thanks.
Pete, one of the funny things, I can't wait to hang out with Nate's dad.
Yeah, I can't wait to hang out with Nate's dad either.
I think that's going to be fun, man. I'm so looking forward to that.
Me too. All right, this is going way off the rails. I gotta go.
Oh, we've not yet even begun to defile ourselves.
Yes, we have. See you later, Nate.
Hey, Pete, Pete. If you got to go, just leave Slim and I on here and let your stream run. You can go. All y'all can check out. Slim and I will take this over from here. We promise not to get this channel shut down.
Yeah, I don't. I'm not doing that.
Scout's honor. Scout's honor.
I don't believe you.
All right, Merry Christmas. Ho, 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 ho. We'll talk to y'all later on. See you later.
All right, fools. All right, Rhett, go pay that cruise off, buddy.
I will, and also I'm going to book us an excursion, just me and you. So I'll talk to you later.
All right. No, Mrs. Pete?
No, dude. Gross. See ya.
All right, Slim.
It was fun.
Yes, sir. As usual.
All right.
All right, buddy. Wow. All right, everyone. I'm not going to be on the Lunch Money Show tonight. I'm going to some Christmas lights thing. I don't know what Uncle Lou's doing. He said he might do the Lunch Money Show. He might do a call-in show. I don't know. But anyway, I won't be on there. Tomorrow is Christmas Eve. I'm having family over, so no ACC show. Y'all might not see me until probably Friday for the midday show. So if I don't see you between now and Friday, everyone have a Merry Christmas. I hope Santa brings you everything you want to get. And be safe out there in them streets. Talk to y'all later.